Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Fragrance League. This is episode 3 of season 1. We have another 3 batch of contestants. We've got Redolessence, we've got Freddie, and we've also got Xanovia Sense. All 3 of them well-known reviewers, and it's my pleasure basically to bring with you this nice little competition. So, for those of you who don't know what Fragrance League is basically a competition that I kind of put together that I send out 5 scents basically unmarked, and it's the reviewer's job to go ahead and let everyone know pretty much whether they think that the fragrance is a niche fragrance or a designer fragrance, and if they think if the fragrance is expensive or if it's cheap. So there's those 2 criteria, and based on what they answer compared to the other contestants, we'll determine how many points they get. Tally up the points, and the website will actually be updated with said points. Now, that out of the way, if you want a more in-depth explanation of how the points are tallied and everything like that, I have an informational video for the Fragrance League out. Alright, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So the first fragrance on my list was a fragrance from the House of Creed. Now, it's a fragrance that I've already actually done and thrown in, and I kind of want to throw it in again to see what people would think. The fragrance is Millesime Imperial's Creed. So with that in mind, let's see what they thought of the #1 fragrance.
Hey Fracom, Freddie here, trying to make a video for DracDoc, Cody's Fragrance League. This is where he sends reviewers 5 samples, and we're to guess if they're cheap or expensive, designer or niche. I believe we're in the second round of this tournament game, whatever you want to call it. This is my 3rd take on this video. I have the fragrances on me for the last maybe 10 minutes. My daughter keeps interrupting me, so I apologize. You won't see me spraying them on me. I just, I got interrupted. So, and I'm not gonna, and I don't edit my videos. They're pretty much the way they're recorded. So I'm just gonna show you the decants. It's one. First one I sprayed on here. I'm gonna go with niche and expensive. Yeah, niche and expensive. Although there is an alternative to what I think this is that may throw me off. That's a cheaper designer, but yeah, I think this is an expensive niche fragrance.
Hey everyone, Steven here. I have a YouTube channel called Redolessence, and these are my predictions / determinations for Cody's Fragrance League. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with #1. #1, I'm pretty sure, is Creed's Millesime Imperial. I love this fragrance, and it immediately reminds me of the summer of 2012. You have this undertone of regality, you have some citrus elements opening up the composition with some fruity nuances that carry the fragrance throughout the entire longevity of it. Now, I'm going to say this is niche and expensive. I'm familiar with the other viable contenders to this one, like Sean John's Unforgivable and even Ed Hardy's Love and Luck by Christian Audigier, even Exceptional for Men. But this one has something that the others don't. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that the first one is niche and expensive.
Hey everybody, Xanovia Sense, part of Cody's awesome Fragrance League here. I have my number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fragrances. I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paper. Have not smelled any of these bad boys yet. I wanted to, embarrass myself good by messing these up. Let's start off with #1 here. I know that fragrance. Alright, I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm going to say that's, we'll say niche expensive.
Alright, so all of them were in fact correct. The fragrance is Millesime Imperial, and it is a niche fragrance, and it is expensive fragrance. They all got it right, therefore everyone ends with 2 total points through and through. Alright? So the next fragrance that I actually put in was from the House of Burberry. The fragrance is called Burberry Beat. This is a spicy fragrance. It's a little bit of a peppery fragrances as on top. Not even a little bit. It's a lot of peppery fragrance. So the fragrance is a designer fragrance, and it's inexpensive. So let's see what they guess.
And number 2, sprayed it on here. I want to say a cheap designer. Yeah, I think so far I think I know what these are. And smelling all of them, I think I know what they all are. But again, I don't know, so I'm going with cheap designer on that one.
Number 2 is a really nice green, minty, maybe even geranium. I actually think it's closer to mint than anything. It has a green vetiver nuance to it. I think it's a really nice cooling fragrance. My only qualm about it is that it is rather linear and it lacks the performance that I would like. So I'm going to go ahead and say that number 2 is designer and cheap. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Cartier's Roadster, but I think that the mint note in this fragrance is much better than others in the designer realm.
Number 2. Number 2, we will say designer inexpensive.
And they all get Burberry beat correct. They all guessed that it was a designer fragrance, and they all guessed that it was inexpensive. So all points all around, everyone's got 4 points. Nobody's got differential points because nobody's gotten anything wrong just yet. So 4-4, all tied up. Now the next fragrance is from the house of Serge Lutens. The fragrance is called Chergui. This fragrance is classified as a niche fragrance, and it's an expensive fragrance. Let's see.
And number 3, I'm going with, spray it on here. I'm going with niche, expensive. I think this is about $100 something for 50 mil. So I think we're considering that expensive. And it's niche, so yeah.
Number 3 is Chergui by Serge Lutens. It's a beautiful powdery, ambery scent with tobacco, and it works really well in the fall. It has a note of hay, and it's a very unique fragrance, and the performance is beastly and ungodly. And because Serge Lutens fragrances, I think, retail $120 for 50 milliliters without a discounted price, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is niche and expensive.
Number 3 here. It smells a lot like Chergui. We'll say, I don't know if that's what it is or not, but we'll say that is designer. I guess that would be inexpensive. I'm sorry, niche. Niche number 3. Number 3, niche. Would be niche, inexpensive.
And we get a little bit of separation, finally. A separation, of course. Chergui is niche, expensive fragrance. Unfortunately, Xanovia Scents guessed that it was an inexpensive niche fragrance. So he gets half of it right, but not fully. Which, on this turn, grants Redolessence and Freddie a 0.5, increase to their differential, basically. So we've got the score currently clocked in at 6 and 0.5, 6 and 0.5, and we've got Xanovia Scents at 5 total and 0 differential points. All right, still anyone's game. It's still extremely close. But let's get right to it. So the next scent is from the house of Thierry Mugler. If you are a fragrance reviewer and you haven't smelled this one, I'd be highly surprised. That said, I want to kind of throw a curveball by giving them something so easy and see if they could actually be thrown off by it. All right, so let's see what they thought about pure malt.
Now number 4, it's labeled upside down. Number 4. This is, I think, pure malt. If not, it's one of the Thierry Muglers. So it's a designer, cheap, because I'm $100. So a designer cheapie.
Number 4, I'm pretty convinced, is Thierry Mugler's Angel Men Pure Malt. I will actually be kind of upset if this ends up being Insurrection Wild or Animal or something like that, because there are some knockoffs out there. So this smells too close to pure malt to not be pure malt. You have the dried fruits, the boozy nuance in the opening, the caramel, the ethyl maltyl note in there that makes it smell sweet or candy-like. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is designer and inexpensive.
This smells like something would have an Amen DNA number 4. We'll say that would be designer, inexpensive.
And pure malt fools nobody. They all get it correct. They all immediately know what it is. It's designer fragrance. It's inexpensive. They all get it right. Therefore, our point total is now at 8.5. Or sorry, 8 and 0.5, 8 and 0.5, and then we've got Xanovia Sense tailing in at 7 and 0. All right. So it's still really close. One small slip up, and we can get. One small slip up. It could be evened up. It could be tied up. It's anyone's game still at this point. But we actually have our almost first perfect game. 2 perfect games, both coming in from Freddie and Redolessence. They'll be the first ones actually here to get all correct. All right. Now that said, this one was a little bit easier of a round, but whatever. Now the final scent is from the house of By Killian. This fragrance is called Straight to Heaven. Now, Straight to Heaven is a niche fragrance and it's expensive. So let's see what they thought.
And number 5. I think this is. I think this is an expensive niche. Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's an expensive niche. So recap: 1 is expensive niche. 2 is a cheap designer. 3, it's a expensive niche. 4 is a cheap designer. 5, it's an expensive niche. All right. So there goes my take on these 5 samples that Cody sent over. Everybody, thanks for having me. Thanks for watching. Peace and stay blessed.
Number 4 is Straight to Heaven by Killian. This is a beautiful rum-based fragrance with some spicy nuances, and it carries forth with it this, I guess, undertone of, I don't know. It just has like this really formal appeal to it. It's a really nice fragrance. It happens to be one of my favorites, and because By Killian's retail $230 for a 50 milliliter bottle for the full presentation, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is niche and expensive. Thank you.
And number 5 smells like a By Killian that I know. We'll say number 5 is niche, expensive. All right, so that's it.
And everyone gets Straight to Heaven right. So, wow, that being in consideration, we've got our 2 first perfect Fragrance League episodes, basically, and that's from Freddie and from Redolessence. They both got everything right on this one. Xanovia Sense really close to everything right and still did awesome. He ends up with 9 and 0. Not just missed that one designation from Sergey, basically, and he could have been at 10 and 0 too as well too. So, man, really close, but the winners are 2 tied right now. Both Freddie and Redolessence take home the match for this one. Now remember, everyone's going to have to play, or everyone's going to get to play at least 3 times, so we've still got more episodes from each of these reviewers coming. Alright? So, with that out of the way, please let me know what your thoughts are on, the overall competition. Give these reviewers a round of applause, if you will, just because of the fact that it can be a little bit unnerving to get on and to smell random scents and go out, but these guys handled it like champs. They did a great job, and overall, it was just an awesome time. All right, so let me know what your thoughts are. Suggest any other fragrances that we can go ahead and start having them smell. Obviously, I'm going to keep it a secret to myself and go ahead and send fragrances out, but I always take suggestions. All right, thank you, take care of yourselves, and have a great day.